Hey guys, welcome back. Today we are taking a look at this solo from Poison and CC Deville, guitarist for the band, and we're taking a look at Every Rose Has Its Thorn. Now, back in the day, some of my buddies and I used to make fun of Mr. CC Deville, and if you're from my era and you were a guitar player back then, you might have been doing the same thing. Everybody said, CC's no good. He's so sloppy, and live he can't play it as he can't play his way out of a paper bag. He's too busy running around acting like a poser, and that kind of stuff. And the guitar magazines wouldn't ever really highlight him, and generally, you had guys. The whole Guitar Hero thing, right, was going on. You had guys like Yngwie and Joe Satriani and Steve Vai, and then you had CC Deville, and guys like that who were, Mick Mars was another guy that kind of got through in that camp of sort of thought of as below average guitar players, right? Well, I'm here to tell you that I've changed my mind about CC Deville. Now, I'm not saying he's a great technical guitar player or a guy on the level of Satriani and Yngwie or anything like that. But I'm saying the guy plays good, solid stuff that fits the song. And this is another example, and this might be his most famous, well-known solo. Every Rose Has Its Thorn, a huge hit. A lot of those other guys didn't have a huge hit. Now you could say it was because of Bret Michaels and the band. I mean, it was a great song and, whatever. But still, CC Deville is the one that played the solo in this and came up with the notes. And this is a very simple solo. There's a little fast lick at the end. And I thought it was worthwhile to show you guys this cool solo from CC Deville and Poison. So we're going to do that in just a second. And before we do that, you should know that I'm tuned down a half step to E flat standard because that is what Poison does, tune down a half step. Also, in the description box, I've got a brand new gift for you. It's called 15 Glam Metal Riffs You Gotta Know. Make sure and check that out. I just put that together recently, and I'm super happy with how it came out. You'll get the tab, a link to download the tab, as well as guitar profiles, and you can even get each individual video to work on separately. So it's a nice little package for you guys to check it out. There's some really cool bands in there that are highlighted that you might not expect, like Shotgun Messiah, Faster Pussycat, bands like that, and of course Poison's in there, Motley Crue, Rat, those kind of bands. So make sure and check that in the link below. Also, if you're looking for the tab for this solo is over at my Patreon page. You can grab that, head over to Patreon. That's also in the links below. And you'll also be able to get the backing track for this so you can practice playing over the backing track. Alright, so let's get started. This is, like I said, fairly simple in terms of the technique involved. Not so simple to play because there's a lot of bending going on. There's some sustained notes, and you're going to have to do things, bend the notes. Your intonation is going to need to be really good on these kinds of things, especially if you have a locking nut, Floyd Rose, and you're trying to do the bends, like that kind of stuff can get a little out of tune sounding if you're not using your ears. So make sure you do that and you'll be fine. All right. This is basically being played over the chords G major and C major to start with. It's an acoustic and kind of a keyboard going on in the background. Does that again. G to C, and then it goes E minor. D, C, G, E minor, D, C, C, G. And that's where the solo comes out. Alright, so that tells me that we're in the key of G major for this guitar solo because of the chords involved. Right, all those chords belong to the key of G major, or the relative, you could think of it as E minor. If you're a rock guy like me, I tend to think of what's the relative minor, because then all of a sudden all that, the scale patterns and stuff pop into my head a little easier than it does for the major scales. It's the same notes, right? Just a little different way of thinking about it. But one thing you're going to want to realize is the first note is actually not in the key, but we're bending it in. So this is an F note at the 6th fret. I kind of slide into it. But you're bending that up a half step, so it's making its way to a B note, right? So like that. So you just kind of want to slowly bend that up. And so you're at 6th fret and then slide all the way up to 12. Now when you get to the 12th fret, the way CC does it, there's no vibrato at all on this. It's just the B note just kind of hangs there, and I'm thinking he probably did that on purpose. Now later on we'll get to some vibrato. So that's the first opening lick. And then from here, we're just going to move up a half step to 13 on the B. There's that lick you're going to have to watch out for if you have a locking nut especially. It's just a matter of using your ear to make sure you're not going too far with the bends. You have to sort of compensate on the B string for the note that you're bending on the G. Or it'll sound more like... See, it starts getting a little wonky there. Okay, so here's what we got. $13, $12, $13, $12, $13. I'm picking all those. And then we're going to bend 14 on the G string up. You bend it up, and then as it's coming up, you grab 15 on the B string with your pinky. If you play it like I do, if you use your middle finger and ring finger, that's fine too. But I'm using my ring and pinky here. And as soon as you hit that 15 on the B, start lowering the 14th fret G string and then release it down all the way and then play 12. And that's got a nice heavy vibrato on it. And he slides that off. Now here, 15th fret on the B string, you're going to pre-bend it. So you bend it before playing it. It goes a whole step up. If you're not used to this, you might want to make a little game out of this and test yourself. Go up to the 17th fret and play that at the B string. That's your target note, right? Then try playing it pre-bent. See if you can get the same note. If you're a little flat or a little sharp, then you know you need to kind of adjust. The more you do it, the better you'll get at just playing exactly how bending the note exactly how much you need to. So anyway, so far we have this. Now we have a little scale run here. And this is right out of the G major scale, or E minor scale if you like to think that way. So we have 13, pull off to 12 on the B, then 14 G, back to 12 B, pull off from 14 to 12 G. Pull off from 14 to 12 again, slide down to 11. Oops. And then pull off from 12 to 11 on the G. 12D, slide into 14D. Now we have this these notes here where we're using the whammy bar to dip into the note. So this is something, if you haven't done this before, you're dipping the bar. So you hold the bar. I use my middle and index finger, and actually the rest of my hand too, to push down, and then sound the 11th fret and let the bar up. You'll do that same on the 12th fret and then the same on the 9th fret. A little vibrato there with the bar. If you don't have a bar, it's not going to sound the same, but you can still, you can still play the notes. It'll sound fine. It's just going to be more like the original. So 11, 12, 9 on the G, and then it goes to this lick. And this is on the B string. You're going to bend 15 up a whole step. Then with your pinky, grab 15 on the high E. And then just do that 3 times. And then back to this lick. Okay, so all that together. And then the last lick. So we're almost there. And we're going to slide into 16 on the B string, on the G string. That's the lick. So you're going to actually skip a string. When you get to 16G, we're going to skip to the high E. Okay, so the notes are 16G, and then we're pulling off 17 to 15 high E, 17B, 15 high E, pull off 19 to 15 on the B, the high E, and 17 to 15 on the high E. (17B), 15 high E, 19 pull off to 15 high E, 17, 15 high E pull off, and then pull off 17 to 15 B, and end on 15 on the high E string. That's a G note. It's a little tricky at first to get that lick. It's right out of the pentatonic scale, and very cool little way to end it, I think. Sort of climax the solo, end on a high note. This is a great example of a solo that has a beginning, a middle, and an end. You've probably heard people talk about that before. If you're gonna write your own solos, what you should do is always have a beginning, a middle, and an end. Well, if you look at this solo, it's a great example of that. You got the really cool sort of entrance into the solo, right? This is the middle section. And then end it with a big flourish, right? Great. That's why I think this solo is definitely a cool solo from CC Deville, and should not, the guy should not get so much flack. Okay, if you don't like his playing, I get it. I understand, but I'm just saying, I think he's better than a lot of people think he is. And now I haven't heard him. I've never seen Poison live. I've never sat in the same room with CC and watched him play. But based on this, I have a newfound respect. I also covered the solo for Nothing But a Good Time on this channel. So if you're looking for more of this sort of stuff, you can find that solo. And that's a killer one. That's got some chops on that one. So check that out. I'll link you guys to that one as well at the end of this video here. Alright guys, that's it for today. Make sure and grab that free gift, 15 glam metal riffs you gotta know. And also head over to Patreon to get the tab for this lesson and the backing track. I'll see you next time. Rock on.